Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes in life you will notice something strange. The smarter you become, the more alone you feel. Not because you dislike people, not because you want to isolate yourself, but because growth changes your eyes. When you begin to understand life deeply, your heart starts demanding peace, honesty, respect, and stability. And these things are not found everywhere. They are not found in everyone. Smart people value peace over popularity because with time they learn the real weight of inner calm. When a person becomes more aware, more thoughtful, and more emotionally mature, they start noticing how their surroundings affect their mind. They see how noise from the world can easily enter their heart. They feel how unnecessary conversations drain their energy, how fake appreciation feels hollow, and how social pressure forces people to pretend instead of being themselves. Popularity often demands performance. It asks you to fit into certain circles, please certain people, follow certain trends, and say yes even when your heart wants to say no. But peace asks for something entirely different. Peace asks for honesty with yourself, space for your thoughts, and courage to walk away from anything that disturbs your spirit. And this is why smart people choose peace. As people grow mentally, they stop needing validation from the crowd. They stop caring about being seen everywhere, being accepted by everyone, or being praised by strangers. They learn that real growth happens in silence, and real strength is built in moments when no one is watching. They start valuing their own inner voice more than the noise of the world. They understand that peace is not something you find outside. It is something you protect from inside. So every time life gives them a choice between being popular in a room full of noise or being peaceful in a corner of solitude, they choose the corner because that corner gives them clarity, stability, and purpose. Smart people have also seen the hidden cost of popularity. They have watched how people lose themselves trying to fit into groups that don't even care about their dreams. They have seen how relationships built on social convenience break as soon as life becomes difficult. They have realized that being surrounded by many people does not guarantee support, understanding, or loyalty. In fact, very often the crowd only stays when things are exciting, impressive, or beneficial for them. The moment life becomes quiet, hard, or disciplined, the crowd slowly walks away. Smart people don't want that temporary attention because they know it will never help them grow. They want peace because peace stays with them in every phase of life, even the difficult ones. Another reason smart people value peace is because their mind is constantly thinking, analyzing, planning, and creating. Their brain is always active, and for such a mind, chaos is poison, drama is poison, fake friendships are poison. Loud circles become exhausting. Smart minds need space to breathe, think, and evolve. They need silence to build ideas, time to reflect on decisions, and emotional stability to keep moving forward with confidence. Peace gives them that environment, while popularity often steals it. They also understand that peace builds self-respect. When you choose peace, you choose boundaries. You learn to say no to things that disturb your mental world. You stop allowing people to misuse your time. You stop tolerating situations that drain your positivity. You stop giving discounts on your self-worth. Smart people know that without peace, discipline becomes harder, productivity drops, and emotional control weakens. So they protect their peace like a treasure, because they know peace is the foundation of every great transformation. In choosing peace over popularity, they also start attracting the right kind of life. When they become peaceful from inside, their decisions become sharper, their emotions become steadier, and their direction becomes clearer. Peace strengthens their intuition. It helps them see who truly belongs in their life and who doesn't. It filters out the noise of the world and brings them closer to their real path. And when a person is on their real path, they no longer feel the need to chase acceptance from others. They become whole within themselves, and that wholeness becomes their power. Smart people avoid drama and meaningless talk because they understand how easily unnecessary words can complicate life. They know that most conflicts, misunderstandings, and emotional disturbances begin with conversations that had no purpose, no clarity, and no positive outcome. With time, they learn that every word carries energy, and if that energy is scattered in useless directions, the mind becomes restless. Smart people prefer to keep their mental space clean, and one of the easiest ways to do that is by staying away from drama. They do not involve themselves in gossip, arguments, or discussions that exist only to waste time or feed egos. They have learned, through painful experiences, that not every comment needs a reply, not every criticism needs attention, and not every person deserves access to their emotional world. As they mature, they begin to notice the difference between talking and communicating. Talking is noise, but communicating is clarity. Most people talk without intention, without listening, and without thinking about the impact of their words. This creates confusion, tension, and emotional fatigue. Smart people, on the other hand, value intentional communication. They prefer fewer words but deeper meaning. They choose silence over arguments that lead nowhere. They avoid conversations that only exist to fill empty time. They remain quiet in rooms where people speak just to impress each other. They know that communication should add value, solve problems, build understanding, or strengthen relationships. Anything that does not serve these purposes becomes meaningless for them. They also understand the emotional cost of drama. Drama drains mental energy faster than physical work. It pulls a person into cycles of overthinking, irritation, and emotional instability. Smart people recognize this pattern early, and they choose to step away. They refuse to get involved in conflicts that do not concern their growth. They avoid people who enjoy creating problems. They distance themselves from individuals who constantly complain, criticize, or bring negativity into every conversation. They know that the human mind becomes what it consumes daily, and if it consumes emotional drama, it becomes weak, reactive, and unfocused. Therefore, they protect their mind by limiting their exposure to such environments. Another reason smart people avoid meaningless talk is because they value their time. They know that time is the real currency of life, and wasting it on unproductive conversations is one of the biggest mistakes a person can make. They focus on building skills, thinking creatively, learning new ideas, and improving themselves. They prefer using their time wisely, instead of engaging in gossip, small talk, or arguments that will not matter after a few hours. To them, time is not something to be killed. It is something to be invested, and anything that does not contribute to their growth feels like a distraction. Smart people also avoid drama because they understand that peace is a choice, and conversations play a big role in that choice. They choose their words carefully and expect the same respect from others. When they sense that a conversation is shifting towards emotional chaos, they step back. When they notice manipulation, they detach. When they feel provoked, they respond with calmness instead of anger. This ability to control their reactions comes from their understanding that reacting to everything is a sign of weakness, not strength. Staying calm, staying silent, and staying detached in the face of unnecessary noise is their way of protecting their mental freedom. Over time, avoiding drama becomes a lifestyle for them. They start surrounding themselves with people who speak with purpose, people who bring ideas instead of complaints, people who want solutions instead of problems. They seek conversations that inspire them, challenge them, and expand their thinking. They look for environments where they can grow, not places where they feel drained. They begin to understand that meaningful talk builds the future, while meaningless talk destroys focus. And since smart people value clarity, direction, and emotional stability, they naturally choose the kind of conversations that support the life they want to build. Smart people protect their energy and time because they understand that both are limited, both are precious, and both decide the direction of their life. They realize that energy is not just physical strength, but emotional stability, mental clarity, and spiritual balance. When their energy is disturbed, their decisions become weaker, their focus becomes scattered, and their creativity slows down. With growth and awareness, they begin to see how easily people, situations, and distractions can drain their energy without giving anything meaningful in return. They learn that not everyone deserves access to their mind. not every conversation deserves attention, and not every plan deserves investment. So they begin to guard their energy like a valuable resource that keeps their life moving forward. As they mature, they also start noticing how time slips away in ways that are invisible but destructive. Hours disappear in unplanned activities, unnecessary social interactions, and tasks that have no connection with their long-term goals. Smart people become painfully aware of this truth. They understand that every minute spent on something unimportant is a minute taken away from their dreams. This awareness makes them more intentional about their schedule. They begin planning their days, organizing their routines, and prioritizing activities that truly matter. They stop agreeing to everything. They stop keeping themselves available for everyone. They begin saying no without guilt because they understand that saying yes to the wrong things steals time from the right things. Smart people also protect their energy because they have learned that humans are deeply influenced by the people they interact with. The mood, mindset, and habits of people around you slowly become part of your own identity. Negative environments drain your enthusiasm while positive environments strengthen your discipline. Smart people observe this pattern clearly. They can instantly feel when someone's presence is heavy, when someone's words are draining, or when someone's energy is chaotic. Instead of forcing relationships or trying to fix people, they choose to step away. They keep distance from those who constantly complain, judge, or criticize. They avoid people who bring confusion, jealousy, or unnecessary drama. They prefer to walk alone rather than walk with people who weaken their spirit. Another reason smart people protect their time is because they understand that progress requires consistency. Every meaningful achievement in life comes from repeated effort done over a long period. Whether it's building a career, improving fitness, or creating something new, consistency is the real engine behind success. But consistency becomes impossible when time is wasted on distractions. Smart people know that if they lose a day, that day is gone forever. If they disturb their routine, the momentum breaks, and once momentum breaks, restarting becomes 10 times harder. So they structure their time like a disciplined system. They focus on routines that support their growth and remove everything that interrupts it. They also protect their energy because they know mental peace is the foundation of high-quality work. When the mind is calm, ideas flow smoothly, decisions become clear, and challenges feel manageable. But when the mind is disturbed, even simple tasks feel heavy. Smart people learn to guard this mental calmness. They avoid arguments that lead nowhere. They walk away from chaotic environments. They choose silence over noise and solitude over crowds, not because they dislike people, but because they understand the importance of emotional equilibrium. They value environments where their thoughts can breathe, where their emotions can settle, and where their creativity can expand without pressure. Over time, protecting their energy and time becomes a habit, not a strategy. It becomes a natural part of how they live. They build a life where distractions find no space, where unnecessary people have no access, and where every hour of their day aligns with their purpose. They move carefully, think consciously, and act intentionally. They understand that their future is shaped by how they use their time today and how they guard their energy every single moment. Smart people choose solitude for clarity and growth because they understand that the mind needs space to think, breathe, and evolve without interruption. When life becomes crowded with people, noise, and constant interaction, the inner voice becomes weak. Thoughts get mixed with opinions, emotions get influenced by the atmosphere around you, and your direction becomes blurry. Smart people notice this effect quickly. They realize that solitude is not loneliness. It is a space where they can return to themselves. It is a place where their mind becomes quiet enough to understand what truly matters. In solitude, they can reflect on their mistakes without feeling judged, review their goals without interference, and reset their inner world without pressure. This clarity becomes their strength because every decision they make starts coming from a deeper, more peaceful place. As they grow, smart people understand that the world often pushes them into constant interaction, constant talking, and constant distraction. But growth does not happen in chaos. Growth requires silence. It requires moments where nothing pulls your attention away. It requires time where your thoughts can settle like calm water. In solitude, smart people begin to understand their patterns, their strengths, and their weaknesses. They see what habits are holding them back, what emotions are guiding them, and what dreams are calling them forward. Without solitude, these realizations remain hidden under the noise of everyday life. With solitude, everything becomes visible, honest, and real. Another reason smart people choose solitude is because they understand that creativity grows in quiet spaces. Ideas need room to develop. Visions need calmness to become clear. Solutions need silence to rise to the surface. When the mind is surrounded by distractions, it cannot explore deeper thoughts. But when the mind is still, it becomes sharper, more imaginative, and more focused. Smart people use solitude as a workshop for their ideas. They think, write, analyze, and create without interruption. They use this quiet time to plan their future, design their goals, and build the mental strength needed for high-level success. Solitude also helps smart people detox from negative influence. Every environment carries emotional weight. Being around the wrong people, even for a short time, can disturb the mind for hours. Negative comments, unnecessary opinions, jealousy, arguments, hidden competition. These things slowly poison the mind. Smart people step away because they feel how heavy these interactions become. In solitude, they cleanse their emotional system. They release the stress, let go of the noise, and come back to a calm state. This emotional reset allows them to stay balanced, grounded, and stable, no matter what challenges come their way. Smart people also choose solitude because they understand that personal growth is an internal journey. No one else can build their discipline, strengthen their mindset, or fix their weaknesses. These things require honest self-confrontation. Solitude gives them the space to face the hard truths about themselves. They analyze their failures, study their patterns, and understand their reactions. Instead of blaming the world, they take responsibility for their growth. They learn patience, resilience, and emotional control. This inner work makes them stronger than any outward achievement could. Over time, solitude becomes their sanctuary. It becomes a place where they recharge their energy, refine their goals, and reconnect with their purpose. It becomes a space where they do not need to perform, explain, or adjust themselves for anyone. They can be fully themselves. They can think clearly, feel deeply, and grow quietly. In this silence, they build the mindset that helps them survive pressure, overcome challenges, and stay committed to their journey. Solitude gives them direction when life gets confusing, and strength when the world feels overwhelming. It becomes the foundation of their clarity and the fuel of their growth. Smart people avoid negative influence and distractions because they understand how deeply the mind is shaped by whatever it absorbs every day. They know that the human brain is like soft clay in the beginning of each day. Whatever touches it, whatever surrounds it, whatever speaks to it slowly starts shaping its thoughts, moods, decisions, and actions. When you allow negativity to enter your life, even in small amounts, it slowly begins to grow, becoming heavier, louder, and more controlling. Smart people recognize this pattern early, often through difficult experiences where one wrong friend, one bad habit, or one unhealthy environment pulled them away from their goals. After learning those lessons, they become highly protective of their mental space. They do not allow negativity to walk in freely. They do not give access to people who drain their enthusiasm, break their confidence, or disturb their peace. They also understand that distractions are one of the biggest enemies of growth. A distracted mind cannot stay consistent, cannot stay focused, and cannot stay committed. And without consistency, even the most talented person becomes average. Smart people see how distractions steal time in invisible ways. They see how the mind becomes addicted to checking notifications, scrolling through social feeds, replying to meaningless messages, and engaging in activities that feel urgent but are completely useless. They understand that every tiny distraction breaks momentum. And once momentum breaks, restarting becomes harder. To protect their progress, they begin removing anything that disconnects them from their purpose. They choose environments where productivity feels natural. They create routines that minimize interruptions. They make decisions that support long-term growth instead of short-term excitement. Another reason smart people avoid negative influence is because they can sense the emotional weight of the people around them. Some people carry warmth, positivity, and encouragement. Their presence builds you, but others carry bitterness, jealousy, insecurity, and chaos. Their presence slowly weakens you. Smart people carefully observe this. They know when someone's words feel heavy. They notice when someone's energy feels suffocating. They feel when someone's intentions are not aligned. Instead of trying to change these people or forcing themselves to fit in, they choose distance. They protect their mind by keeping negative individuals at arm's length. They surround themselves with people who uplift them, inspire them, and bring clarity instead of confusion. Smart people also understand that negativity is contagious. A complaining person can make you complain. A lazy friend can make you lazy. A confused person can create confusion in your mind. A jealous person can make you doubt yourself. This emotional transfer happens subtly, silently, and daily. Smart people do not take this risk. They know that the mind becomes whatever it consistently listens to, so they choose carefully what they expose themselves to. They prefer silence over toxic conversations. They prefer being alone rather than being surrounded by people who hold them back. They prefer peace over emotional chaos. When it comes to distractions, smart people see that the world is designed to pull attention away from meaningful work. Entertainment, noise, gossip, drama, digital addiction. These things are created to steal time without you noticing. Smart people fight this by creating focus. They limit unnecessary interactions. They avoid people who constantly interrupt their workflow. They build a lifestyle where their goals are always within reach, not buried under layers of distraction. They value depth over superficial engagement and discipline over impulse. Over time, avoiding negative influence becomes a natural instinct for them. They become faster at identifying draining environments. They become better at saying no. They become more comfortable choosing their own path, even if it requires walking alone. And with every negative influence removed, their mind becomes sharper, their emotions become stronger, and their life becomes clearer. They move forward with more confidence, more direction, and more inner stability because they have learned to protect their energy from anything that tries to weaken it. And they have learned to protect their time from anything that tries to waste it. Smart people prefer deep connections over big circles because they understand that the value of relationships is not measured by quantity but by depth, trust, and emotional safety. They have learned through experience that having many people around does not guarantee support, loyalty, or understanding. In fact, large circles often come with shallow interactions, surface-level conversations, and relationships built on convenience rather than sincerity. Smart people can feel when a connection has no depth. They sense when someone is present only for fun, gossip, or personal benefit. These types of connections drain them because they offer noise instead of meaning, company instead of comfort, and presence without genuine care. So they naturally begin to pull away from big groups and move toward fewer but deeper relationships. They also understand that deep connections require time, honesty, and emotional presence. You cannot build meaningful relationships with dozens of people at the same time. It becomes impossible to truly listen, understand, and emotionally invest when your circle is too large. Smart people choose depth because they want relationships where they can be themselves without fear, where they can speak openly, where they can share their dreams and doubts without being judged. They prefer people who listen with empathy, speak with intention, and show consistency in their actions. These are the connections that give strength during challenges and inspire growth during transitions. Another reason smart people avoid big circles is because large groups often come with pressure to fit in. There is always an unspoken expectation to act a certain way, to maintain a certain image, to keep up with group dynamics, and to silence parts of yourself to avoid conflict. This pressure kills individuality. Smart people value their authenticity too much to lose themselves in the noise of a big group. They realize that protecting their identity, values, and emotional boundaries is more important than being accepted by many. Deep connections, on the other hand, allow them to stay true to who they are. They feel seen, respected, and understood without needing to pretend or perform. Smart people also recognize that large circles are unstable. When life becomes difficult, most people disappear. Only a few stay. When you face challenges, achievements, or personal transformation, a big circle becomes even smaller. Through these experiences, smart people learn that the real strength in relationships comes from quality, not quantity. They begin investing in those rare individuals who show loyalty, honesty, and emotional maturity. They build bonds that can survive disagreements, distance, and change. These are relationships built on trust, not convenience. They also avoid big circles because too many connections bring too many opinions. A crowd always has something to say. Everyone offers advice, judgment, and commentary. This creates confusion and mental clutter. Smart people want clarity, not chaos. They choose a small circle where conversations are meaningful, where feedback is honest, and where advice comes from people who truly understand their vision. In deep connections, communication becomes a source of strength instead of stress. Another important reason is that smart people value emotional safety. In big circles, information spreads easily, misunderstandings grow faster, and conflicts escalate without resolution. Smart people are sensitive to emotional environments. They do not want to spend time managing chaos, fixing miscommunication, or dealing with unnecessary drama. They want peace, trust, and simplicity. Deep connections give them that sense of emotional security. They can share their vulnerabilities without fear. They can express their feelings without being mocked or misunderstood. They can rely on these relationships in good times and bad. Over time, smart people realize that having a few deeply connected individuals creates more happiness than having dozens of shallow relationships. These deep connections become their anchor during storms, their motivation during growth, and their comfort during chaos. They become mirrors that reflect truth, not illusions. They become partners in growth, not spectators. They become a source of emotional nourishment instead of emotional exhaustion. By choosing depth over size, smart people create a relational world that strengthens their mind, supports their journey, and aligns with the life they are trying to build. Smart people use alone time to build confidence and purpose because they understand that true self. Belief is not created in noise, crowds, or validation from others. It is built in silence, in those quiet moments where a person sits with their thoughts, their fears, their goals, and their reality. When they choose to spend time alone, they give themselves the space to face who they truly are without distraction. They begin to understand their strengths, acknowledge their weaknesses, and redefine their identity based on truth instead of external labels. In solitude, they start recognizing what they are capable of, and this recognition becomes the foundation of their confidence. They do not rely on compliments or approval to feel strong. Their strength comes from self-awareness, and self-awareness grows best in silence. As they continue spending time alone, they also begin to see their purpose more clearly. Life is filled with noise, advice, pressure, expectations, comparisons, and opinions from every direction. This noise blurs a person's inner vision. But when smart people step away from all of that, clarity appears. They start asking themselves deep questions. What do I want? What am I good at? What matters to me? What kind of life do I want to build? These questions do not get answered in crowded rooms. They get answered in solitude, where the mind is free from influence. In that quiet space, smart people start connecting with their true desires and discovering the direction that aligns with their nature. Another reason smart people use alone time for confidence is because solitude removes pressure. When they are alone, they do not need to perform, impress, or meet expectations. They can make mistakes, experiment, and explore without judgment. This freedom allows them to grow internally. They start trusting themselves more because they become familiar with their own thoughts and emotions. They begin relying on their own decisions instead of waiting for approval. This independence slowly transforms into a quiet, unshakable confidence that does not depend on anyone else's validation. Smart people also use alone time to sharpen their skills. They understand that mastery requires deep focus, and focus requires uninterrupted time. Whether they are learning, building, planning, or practicing, solitude creates the perfect environment for growth. They can concentrate fully, push their limits, and challenge themselves without noise. Over time, this consistent effort strengthens their competence, and competence naturally builds confidence. The more skilled they become, the more certain they feel about their path. They also recognize that alone time helps them heal emotionally. Life brings disappointments, failures, and heartbreaks. If these emotions are not processed, they weaken a person's confidence. Smart people use solitude to reflect, release emotional pain, understand their experiences, and rebuild their strength. In this healing process, they learn resilience. They learn how to rise again. They understand their emotional triggers and gain control over their reactions. This emotional maturity becomes another layer of confidence that helps them move through life with grace and stability. Along with confidence, smart people build purpose in solitude, because purpose requires deep introspection. It requires understanding what drives you, what fulfills you, and what gives your life meaning. These answers cannot be found in busy environments or through shallow conversations. They are discovered in quiet, thoughtful moments where you explore your passions, your values, and your long-term vision. Smart people use solitude to align their goals with their true self, not with society's expectations. By doing this, they create a purpose that feels authentic, stable, and powerful. Over time, their alone time becomes a sacred space, a place where they recharge, realign, and reconnect with themselves. It becomes the foundation of their personal growth. Every hour spent alone strengthens their identity, sharpens their goals, and fuels their ambition. They begin walking through life with a calm, centered confidence because they know who they are and what they stand for. They move with purpose because solitude has shown them the direction that truly belongs to them. Smart people understand that walking alone creates strength, because solitude forces them to rely on themselves, trust their own decisions, and face life without leaning on anyone for emotional stability. When a person walks alone, they begin to realize how powerful they truly are. They face challenges without expecting rescue, they make choices without waiting for approval, and they grow without needing constant support. This independence trains their mind to stay steady even in uncertainty. It builds a kind of inner power that cannot be shaken by rejection, disappointment, or loneliness. Walking alone teaches them that they are capable of surviving difficult phases, capable of rebuilding themselves, and capable of creating a life that does not depend on the presence or absence of others. Spending time alone also helps smart people build mental toughness. When you have no one to distract you from your inner thoughts, you learn to confront your fears instead of running from them. You learn to solve problems instead of complaining about them. You learn patience because there is no one else to rush you. You learn discipline because your progress depends solely on your own actions. Smart people embrace this process. They understand that mental strength is not gained through comfort. It is built through facing hard moments alone. Each time they overcome a challenge without help, their confidence grows. And with that confidence comes a stronger belief in their potential. Another reason walking alone builds strength is because it protects smart people from emotional dependency. When you rely too much on others for motivation, comfort, or direction, your inner compass weakens. But when smart people spend time alone, they learn to become their own motivators. They learn how to lift themselves when they fall, how to encourage themselves when they doubt, and how to guide themselves when they feel lost. This emotional independence becomes one of